Two superheats down, 2 to go. Next up, it's the Junior Rotax Superheat, and here is your starting grid. Thomas Verheyen, who took 2 wins yesterday, starts on pole position. He'll be joined by Noah Janssen in the 231 on the front row. Max Sadursky in the 297 will be joined by France's Ryan Bourguignon on row 2. Cameron Nelson and Jake Woods making an all-British row number 3. João Maria Pereira and Lars Lambers on row 4, with Lucas Sells and Alexander Van Meeuwen rounding out the top 10. Enzo Riccio will be joined on row number 6 by Lieke van Berkel, with Boris Maximov and Tom Reger rounding out row number 7. Isaac Barker, Bran van der Weken, Jim Back and Filip Wisniewski complete the 18-strong junior Rotax grid. So 2 winners yesterday. Cameron Nelson picking up the win in Heat 1, with Thomas Verheyen taking the wins in Heats 2 and 3. And already, well, João Maria Pereira in the 270 will not take any part in the superheat. The Portuguese driver, unfortunately, has had a technical drama, and that has caused his kart to stop. So down to 17 drivers we go for this superheat. So 9 minutes plus an additional lap will decide the final bit of points gathering ahead of the final. We're down to Thomas Verheyen and Noah Janssen on the front row to control the pace in the rolling starts as they make their way at a slow crawl. They will accelerate as they will head into the tram lines now. Revs rise. Lights are on. Lights are out. We're underway. And let's see who gets to turns 1 and 2 first. As everyone's bumping over the curbing, someone's gone for a very, very late move up the inside and has managed to get through into second position. I think that might have been Lucas Sells in the 235. So a great job there by the 235 from France. Max Sadursky is in 3rd place. Thomas Verheyen coming through into turn 6 and now down the Europalan for the first time is leading the way as the field makes its way down this very, very fast-paced back straight and then into turn 6 and 7. But battle for second place. Noah Janssen was trying to get through on Lucas Sells. Just behind them is Max Sadursky in 4th position. But already Thomas Verheyen is trying to extend a slight advantage. 5th, I think that is going to be Cameron Nelson in the 241 for Dan Holland Racing. Could be a change for 6th just behind. Jake Woods looks to be on the offensive as the first minute is completed. Lucas Sells uses the outside runoff area coming out of turn number 11. Trying to keep Noah Janssen at bay as the 231 scrambles for traction on the back axle. Coming out of that turn 12 final corner. And Max Sadursky in 4th place as Thomas Verheyen cuts across the front bumper of Noah Janssen, who now is back up into 2nd position. Lucas Sells down to 3rd. Max Sadursky in 4th. Cameron Nelson starting to chase them down. Jake Woods, Lars Lambers, and Enzo Riccio round out the top 8. Ryan Bourguignon down to 9th. Boris Maximov now up 3 places from 13th to round out the top 10. Filip Wisniewski also on the move and now is up into 12th place, having started from the back end of the grid. Out of turn number 9, and it's going to be 5 karts battling for the race lead and for the victory in the Junior Rotax Superheat. But it's Verheyen that leads the way. Janssen, then it's Sells. Then it is Swiderski, who's trying to get back, trying to get through. And Swiderski started, and there's going to be a possible change for the lead, and there's Noah Janssen up the inside of Thomas Verheyen through the final corner. The 2-3-1 gets through and has just a slender lead of about a tenth and a half. There's Max Swiderski looking not only up the inside of Lucas Sells, but also Thomas Verheyen. And that was through turn 2. Cameron Nelson had to watch it there because Lucas Sells was rocketing out of turn number 3, swinging to the outside and getting through between himself and also Max Swiderski out of turn 3 and into turn 4. Nelson now looks through on the inside of the 297 from the Netherlands. And it's the run down to turn 7 at the Europalaan. Top 5 after 2 laps were covered by just under 1.2 seconds. So already we've had one driver that is having to sit at the sidelines at a marshal post and unfortunately watch the action as it happens. And that was before the start got underway, which was João Maria Pereira, as there's a little bit of a move from Lucas Sells up the inside of Thomas Verheyen. The French driver now up into P2. But whilst this is happening, Noah Janssen has gotten away. But by how much? Lap 3 completed. Janssen puts in a 1 minute 9.197. Pretty much exactly to the decimal point, a tenth quicker than Lucas Sells. Gap now is just under 7 tenths. And Thomas Verheyen, Max Swiderski and Cameron Nelson bump over the curbs through turn number 3. And that dry line is really starting to be quite prominent on the circuit. So 5 minutes still to go in this 9 minute plus 1 additional lap superheat. It's anyone's guess as to what might happen as Max Swiderski looks up the inside of Thomas Verheyen for third through out of turn 8. But the 282 held his nerve and stayed in front. Cameron Nelson fancies an opportunity. This could be the chance he needs through a turn 10 on Max Swiderski. That's a great move from Cameron Nelson. Threading the eye of the needle did the 2-4-1 from the United Kingdom. Now he's up to 4th. Let's not forget, he's going to go for 3rd now. Up through the inside of turn 12. Thomas Verheyen trying to get back at him. And Nelson sternly defends. Swiderski bumps over the curbs, the back end skyward and sideways to the left. In the meantime, Lucas Sells is now up into P2. And this is very, very close indeed. The last time they came across the stripe, it was just over 2 tenths of a second. Lucas Sells, new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 8.675, was the fastest driver overall in the race in sectors 1 and 3. Enzo Riccio from Finland is now up into P6. He's got past Jake Woods in the 2:05 and is the fastest driver in sector number 2. Still just over 3.5 minutes to go. And if Lucas Sells manages to catch Noah Janssen and they start battling, well, that'll bring in Cameron Nelson because everyone else behind him is starting to squabble. That's Verheyen, that's Swiderski, Enzo Riccio is now with them. And not only that, so is Jake Woods. So it's now going to be a bit of a skirmish here. Enzo Riccio now looking up the inside through turn number 12. He does exactly the same what Swiderski did a lap ago. And not only bumped over the curbs, the back end went up in the air. He's got Jake Woods up the inside. Woods is through at turn 2, and Maximov now joins the fray. Make that not just 4 karts, it's now 5 that are going to be competing for effectively 4th place. But already, Max Swiderski has clawed a little bit of a gap between himself and Thomas Verheyen. Now Verheyen is having to sternly defend. This is all going in the way of Noah Janssen in terms of the points. And there is Jake Woods up the inside on Verheyen. There is Enzo Riccio. There is Boris Maximov. Who's behind him? Lars Lambers. And it got a bit close there. And through the puddle splashes Thomas Verheyen as Enzo Riccio was side by side coming out of turn 9. And Verheyen hung on to it. But he's got Maximov round towards his outside. Through out of turn number 12. That's going to be another position gain. Thomas Verheyen is losing place after place. and he's now down to 8th position. The way things are going, Noah Janssen will probably more than likely find himself on pole position for the final a little bit later on. And Maximov is trying to get through. He's going round the outside at turn 3, now at turn 4. What's going to happen here at 5? Maximov slots neatly in front and with minimal fuss. But then runs a little bit wide through turn 6. Thomas Verheyen jumping up and down in the seat, but it's not enough to keep him ahead of Maximov down the Europalan. And to be honest, looking at things from this perspective, well, behind Lars Lambers is Ryan Bourguignon, who's rounding out the top 10. But Bourguignon looks to have lost a little bit of time, whereas Lambers has managed to accelerate his pace. We're coming down to the final minute. Right, Sam Knopfjes. There was someone who gapped a minute in DD2. It was Jake Bezelbeck, and it was Senior Rotax. He was on wets. Everyone in Heat 2 Seniors yesterday was on slicks. So Enzo Riccio now gets through on Jake Woods for P5, but the race lead is still being hotly contested. Lucas Sells is not giving Noah Janssen any room to breathe whatsoever. Through into turn 5. Now on the brakes. Through into 6. Lucas Sells up the inside. He's half a kart length in front. Now he's in front of him. And Noah Janssen is now going to fight this and say, well, you got past me. I'll return the favour. He's got to do it nice and cleanly on track. But Lucas Sells, at this point, Lucas Sells coming into this was 9th in the ranking after heats classification following the 3 heats yesterday. But this is really showcasing that Noah Janssen, this morning, the fortune has swung his way. So Lady Luck has been on the young German driver's side. Timer has expired. One more lap to go once we cross the stripe here at Karting Genk. And it's Lucas Sells who started 9th, now up 8 places and is leading by over 3.5 tenths of a second going into the final lap of the Superheat for Junior Rotax. Noah Janssen trying to close on in. But with that stumble over the inside curbing at turn 3, he's going to have to settle more than likely for second place. But Cameron Nelson has been setting the best sector of anybody in Sector 2. He's just put in a new fastest lap, and he just took 1.2 seconds out of Noah Janssen on that last lap. So we're on lap number 9. And looks to be all of the 17 drivers out of 18 that took the start will take the checkered flag. But from 9th on the grid, France will have something to celebrate about here right now, because through into turn number 12, it's going to be Lucas Sells in the number 235 that powers out of the final corner and wins the Junior Superheat after a difficult day in the office. Noah Janssen knows that second place has just provisionally secured him pole position for the final later on today. So Lucas Sells from 9th on the grid takes the win after 9 laps by just over a second, ahead of Germany's Noah Janssen, who provisionally has taken pole position for the final later on. Fastest lap of the race, and 3rd goes to Cameron Nelson. He put in a 1:05.801 in the final lap out of 9, and he started down in 5th. Max Swiderski started 3rd. At one point was battling for the race lead. Finds himself in 4th. Enzo Riccio up 6 places from 11th to 5th at the checker. Jake Woods in the top 5 for a couple of brief moments. Ends up finishing 6th, exactly where he started. Good, solid points for the 205. Boris Maximov up from 13th to finish 7th, ahead of Thomas Verheyen, our pole sitter. Lars Lambers and Ryan Bourguignon, who round out the top 10. Bran van der Weken, Jim Bach, Isaac Barker, Tom Hedger, Alexander Van Meeuwen, Philip Wisniewski and Lieke van Berkel round out the finishing order. And unfortunately, on the formation and sighting laps, we lost Portugal's João Maria Pereira.